Welcome back to Tarik Talk. Let's get into today's episode. Clio Art Fair returns to New York City for 2 consecutive editions this spring, running May 7th through May 10th, and again May 14th through May 17th, 2026, continuing its mission as one of the most artist-focused and independent alternative fairs in New York. Now, compared to some of the larger commercial fairs happening during Frieze Week, Clio Art Fair has always operated with a very different philosophy. And honestly, that difference is exactly what has made the fair stand out over the years. Clio was founded specifically to support independent artists and galleries that may not fit comfortably within the traditional blue-chip art market system. The fair openly describes itself as an anti-fair fair. And what that means is that Clio intentionally prioritizes artists over market hierarchy, experimentation over prestige, and direct engagement over exclusivity. ClioArtFair.com. That identity shapes everything about the atmosphere of the fair itself. Unlike many large international fairs, dominated by mega galleries and multi-million-dollar presentations, Clio focuses heavily on independent voices, self-represented artists, emerging galleries, and creators working outside conventional market structures. And because of that, the experience feels very personal. Visitors often speak directly with the artists themselves. Conversations become longer and more intimate. There's less distance between creator and audience. And honestly, that level of accessibility is increasingly rare within the contemporary art world. For the 2026 editions, Clio Art Fair features approximately 100 artists and exhibitors across the 2 May editions combined, presenting painting, sculpture, photography, installation, mixed media, performance, digital works, textile-based practices, and experimental interdisciplinary projects. ClioArtFair.com. The fair once again takes place in Chelsea, positioning itself directly inside one of the most active gallery districts in New York City during one of the busiest periods of the international art calendar. And because the fair overlaps with Frieze Week and multiple other fairs happening simultaneously across Manhattan, the city itself becomes part of the larger experience. Collectors move between fairs all day. Gallery openings happen nonstop. Artists host dinners and performances. Curators schedule studio visits across multiple neighborhoods. Museums launch major exhibitions around the same time. And within that massive ecosystem, Clio offers something more intimate and artist-driven. Another major aspect of Clio Art Fair 2026 is the continued emphasis on independent practice and curatorial freedom. Many participating artists are not represented by major galleries at all. That openness creates space for artists working outside commercial expectations, allowing for a much broader range of perspectives and aesthetics to coexist within the fair. And honestly, that diversity is one of Clio's biggest strengths. You encounter highly polished contemporary painting beside raw conceptual installations, traditional media beside experimental digital works, large-scale sculpture beside deeply personal narrative projects. The fair embraces unpredictability. And because many participants are independent artists rather than large gallery programs, the presentations often feel deeply personal and emotionally direct. Another exciting element this year is the expansion of Clio's performance and live programming. The 2026 edition includes artist talks, live performances, music collaborations, immersive projects, and interactive installations happening throughout both weekends. ClioArtFair.com. And honestly, those live elements help create a very different atmosphere compared to more static fairs. The space feels constantly evolving. A performance may suddenly begin, an artist may alter an installation in real time. Visitors may become participants inside the work itself. That fluidity gives the fair a sense of immediacy and experimentation. Another major focus this year is Clio's ongoing support for artists from underrepresented communities. The fair continues prioritizing participation from women artists, LGBTQ+ artists, immigrant artists, artists of color, disabled artists, and multidisciplinary creators whose work challenges traditional market categories. ClioArtFair.com. And that commitment reflects broader changes happening across the contemporary art world right now. Collectors and institutions are increasingly interested in expanding whose stories and perspectives are centered within cultural spaces. Clio directly contributes to that shift. But importantly, the fair does not frame diversity as a trend or marketing strategy. Instead, inclusivity feels structurally embedded into the fair's identity itself. Another thing that separates Clio from many traditional fairs is its strong connection to experimentation and emerging talent. Many visitors attend specifically to discover artists before they become more widely recognized. And historically, several artists first introduced through Clio have gone on to secure gallery representation, museum exhibitions, residency opportunities, and broader institutional visibility. That discovery aspect remains central to the fair's appeal. Another exciting development surrounding Clio Art Fair 2026 is the expansion of partnerships with local creative organizations, nonprofits, and independent curators throughout New York City. ClioArtFair.com. Several collaborative pop-ups and satellite projects are taking place throughout Chelsea and neighboring districts during the week, extending the fair beyond the primary exhibition space itself. And honestly, that decentralized energy feels very connected to New York's artistic history. For decades, many of the city's most important creative movements developed through artist-run spaces, temporary exhibitions, warehouse projects, and collaborative communities operating outside traditional institutional systems. Clio continues carrying that spirit forward. Another important aspect of the fair is affordability and accessibility. Unlike many fairs where artworks are presented almost exclusively for elite collectors, Clio often includes works across a much wider range of price points, making contemporary art collecting feel more approachable for younger audiences and first-time buyers. That accessibility changes the atmosphere significantly. People feel more comfortable asking questions. Younger collectors engage directly with artists. Students attend without feeling intimidated, and because of that openness, the fair often attracts a very diverse audience. Artists, collectors, curators, students, writers, designers, musicians, local New Yorkers, international visitors, all interacting within the same space. Another major talking point this year is the fair's increasing embrace of interdisciplinary and technology-based practices. Several exhibitors are presenting immersive media works, projection-based installations, AI-influenced projects, sound environments, and interactive digital art, artreview.com. But unlike highly commercial tech-focused events, the technology here often feels experimental, handmade, or deeply personal rather than polished corporate spectacle. That distinction helps maintain the fair's artist-centered identity. Another thing people consistently mention about Clio is the emotional atmosphere of the fair itself. There's vulnerability inside the work. There's directness, there's risk-taking, and honestly, that emotional honesty can feel refreshing during major art fair weeks where commercial pressure sometimes dominates the experience. At Clio, the emphasis remains strongly connected to artistic expression itself. That doesn't mean sales aren't important. Of course they are. Artists need support. Independent practices need sustainability. Exposure matters, but the fair still feels grounded in creativity first rather than market branding. Another exciting aspect of the 2026 edition is the increased number of international participants. Artists and galleries are arriving from Europe, Latin America, Asia, Canada, and across the United States, bringing a wide range of perspectives and artistic languages into conversation together. ClioArtFair.com. That international presence reflects how interconnected the contemporary art world has become. And yet, despite that global scope, Clio still maintains a very human scale. The fair feels approachable, conversations feel real, people take time with the work. And honestly, that intimacy may be one of the fair's greatest strengths. Another fascinating aspect of Clio is its resistance to rigid categories. The fair embraces artists working between disciplines, outside market trends, or beyond conventional expectations. Painting merges with installation. Performance intersects with sculpture. Photography blends into sound and video. The boundaries remain fluid, and that openness allows visitors to experience contemporary art as something alive and evolving, rather than fixed. Clio Art Fair 2026 runs in 2 editions this May, from May 7th through May 10th, and again from May 14th through May 17th in New York City during one of the busiest periods of the international art calendar, ClioArtFair.com. And for anyone interested in independent artists, experimental practices, emerging voices, and one of the most artist-centered fairs in New York, Clio Art Fair continues to offer an experience that feels personal, accessible, and deeply connected to the creative spirit of the city itself.